Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is season one, episode one of We Don't Have a Name for the Show Yet. So, um, we did post something out there on Facebook asking people to chime in, find out, find out, and give us a name for the show. We haven't got a really big participation for that, but hopefully we'll try to get that up and running real soon. But so what we're doing right now is that we're having another show. We're going to do another show, okay? And I'm gonna let my cohorts, Curry, Mo, Rich, take over the show. Just waiting for them to come on. I got Curry on the line. Curry, how you doing? Let me I might have. I'm sorry, I might have it on mute. All right, Curry, I got you off mute. Mary, how you doing?
I'm
Hello.
good. How about yourself?
Okay, okay. So we got Curry here. We're waiting on Mo. We're waiting on Rich to come on. Again, like I said, season one, episode one of a show we don't have no name. And we might use that as the name of the podcast, show without a name, unless we come up with something. Basically how this is gonna work is we're gonna still talk about sports. But I'm just gonna be in the background chilling, listening, being the moderator, making sure everything goes smoothly. You know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. Um, but before they get on, um, before they come on, they should be on shortly. The only topic I really want to hit on, Curry, and I know you're not big in the NBA, but I want to hit on this in the NBA with the betting situation going on right now and how deep this thing is. I pulled this article up, and I just want to read some of the stuff in the article that talks about the sports betting and how this thing has really corrupted the sport of the NBA per se, um, and how it's basically okay. We got Lou on the line. Lou, what's going on? And how this
All right,
has
Kevin.
how this has how this has basically causing issues in the NBA. And trust and believe me, NBA ain't the only one. They probably having these issues. Probably got baseball, basketball, I mean football. You got it all over. But this is what the article says: Sports mafia tries ties run deeper than the NBA gamble scandal. The allegations connected between the mafia and two former NBA players, Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups and longtime veteran Damian Jones, began with such things often through a little unknown intermediate. That's one of the ways organized crime finds its way into locker rooms and athletics inner circle by degrees through introduction that seems harmless enough. What starts as a friendly poker night or invitation for a trusted acquaintance before you can before long become something else entirely, a sticky web of influences and soon enough obligations former prosecutors and those who study the mob says. Now I'm gonna read some more, but I found out today that Terry Rozier he owed back taxes of $8 million, and we talked about it yesterday how much he actually did earn um, from going to the Charlotte Hornets. So maybe he wasn't a good money manager. That's all I can think of. But in the case, prosecutors allegedly the intermediate was Robert L. Stroud, 67-year-old Louisville man with a criminal history. In 1994, Stroud killed a man doing evening playing cards and gambling at a home in Louisville. According to local outlets, Wave News, the outlet also reported that when Stroud was pulled over in 2001, he had expired tags. A police officer found sporting bet cards, dice, playing cards, and what appeared to be a gambling record in the back seat. Stroud recruited Billups and Jones to take part in rigged poker games run by members of the New York City most prominent crime families, according to indicted in accompanying court documents made public last week. Stroud recruited former professional athletes, including defender Billups and Damian Jones, into conspiracy to lure wealthy victims into playing in games. According to the detention memo filed with the case for the role of face cards and members of the cheating team, Stroud paid a portion of his criminal proceedings. Stroud, Billups, and Jones are among 34 players, including Miami Heat guard Thierry Rozier, arrested last week in connection with two overlapping investigations. One forced an illegal sport betting scheme that allegedly relied on inside information, NBA information. The other involved high stake poker games linked to um, Gen, Genovedes, Gambinos, Lucius, Boniana crime families. Prosecutors said Billups and Jones helped cheat participants out of more than $7 million through the use of X-ray table, high-tech glasses, and other formidable formidable tools. Billups' attorney has denied any wrongdoing by his client. The charges that shaken the NBA with fabulous paid athletes seeming have every incentive not to get involved in activities that could ruin their careers and reputation. It's unclear why Billups and Jones got involved with the mob figures of federal prosecutors alleged. Billups earned more than $100 million over his decade, recording nearly $5 million a year as a coach at the Portland Trail Blazers. Jones, formerly a journeyman player and assistant coach, earned more than $22 million during his 11 years in the NBA playing career. It's hard to figure out why this happened, said Kurt Gobert, a lawyer and former head of the federal organized crime strike force in Detroit. He said in the past cases, many gamblers have been enshrined with mobs because they are addicted to the action. There's always a certain lure when people want to do something that's a little shady so they can get a cash and not report it, he added. Or they might owe these guys money for some reason, maybe because they bet with them. Scott Bernstein, a mafia expert and founder of the editor of Gangster Report website that tracks organized crime, said underworld figures often being cultivated relationships with athletes early at youth sports earlier than loosely regulated venue games. The showcases events AAU basketball or 7-on-7 football tournaments are sometimes stages for criminal or people close to criminals, Berkshire said. They then can later tap the relationship. Often often the ask is not one what not one with would necessarily affect the outcome of the game. If a player is asked to get under a certain number of rebounds or player fewer minutes by faking an injury, it can be easily rationalized, Bernstein said. They can do mental gymnastics to the point where they don't really think they're affecting the outcome of the game, he said. So there are morals in the clear in their minds. In 1980, Michael Friz, a capo in a Columbia crime family, bought a share of the World Sports Entertainment, a sport agency with an eye to foster tight relationship with athletes. The agency secretly signed top college players it believed would go pro. It did it because I wanted to get close to athletes, Fred said. We knew it would it, we knew if we could get close to the guys, they're going to end up in trouble. If they gamble, they're going to come to us. France moves wasn't just a personal hustle; it was part of a border pattern that stretches across generations. Organized crime has long recognized the vulnerabilities of athletes, the money, their inspiration, their appetites, and found ways to exploit them. What people don't understand about some athletes, said France, is who has since spent decades speaking to sports leagues and the NCAA about gambling risk, is that gambling is an extension of the competitive spirit. They want to rise the stakes. These guys go on a plane on a road trip and lose thousands of dollars. Mob figures it has been drawn a big time athlete for decades in the 1960s. The college and professional athlete's career, a Hall of Fame Connie Hawkins, Robert Brown, were derailed with investigations. Investigators found that they had associated with Jack Mullins, a former player turned mob link fixer. The two players were never arrested or indicted. During 1979, during 1978-79 season, a group of Boston College basketball players were recruited to manipulate scores by Henry Hill and Jimmy Gent Burke, associated with the New York Luciano's crime family, later immortalized into Goodfellas. Hill's group placed large wagers through a mob-controlled bookmarking, carefully avoiding final outcomes and focusing on the spread to evade detection. In the mid-2000s, NBA referee Tom Donahue admitted to betting on games he officiated, feeding inside information to professional gamblers, some with organized crime ties. Even tennis and boxing, with the individual athletes OP judging, has particularly drawn mob attention, from fixing the fights in Las Vegas to making applications of international betting exchanges. People who want to fix games, people who want to fix games will make it their business to cultivate the relationship so that the kids would be beholden to them. Edward A. McDonald, who led the prosecution of the Boston College point shaving case, they make sure they are friendly with the kids, and the next thing you know, they're in their world. While the mafia is widely perceived as a warning, people who closely follows his activity says it only is evolved. There's less violence, some say, and more sophistication. I don't believe they're at the apex of power like they were during our time, friends said, but they're not going away. But as always, gambling remains one of the mob's most profitable activities. Even with profiteering of legalizing wagering and underground betting still has an unshakable allure. Dan E. Moldy, the investigative reporter from 1989 books Interference, has how organized crime influences professional football stirred both outrages and denial across the NFL, predicting in the book that the spread of legal sports betting would in turn fuel a surge in illegal gambling. You cannot get a bigger bang for your buck when Charlie, the friendly neighborhood mob booker at the corner bar, Molden said, and Charlie will give you a credit. While professional athletes can make huge incomes, their careers are often short and their bankrolls are not endless. Records show Jones had filed a bankruptcy twice in Texas in 2013 and 2015. Though both petitions was dismissed in 2015, he claimed he to have liabilities ranging from 500 to $1 million asset between 100 and $500,000 among the creditors with Bellagio Casino in Las Vegas, where said Jones owed more than $47,000 in September 2027. Excuse me, in September 2023, text messages copied in court papers. Jones said Stroud, the man prosecutor, allegedly recruited him and Billups into a poker scheme for an advance before a game. I don't know how much the job pays tomorrow, but I can get 10K advance on it. Jones asked God, will he bless me that you have action for me because I need that today badly. So this thing is deeper than what we think, right? So you're my friend and you see me and I come over your house to play poker with you. And I think we're friends and you taking all my money because I think you're a good poker player, but you're not. Um, the shaving of the points, the being hurt, not playing to your potential, sitting players down, the whole 9 yards. This has really gotten bad, guys, and something needs to be done about this. I was totally against this from day one, and my feelings to it has never changed. Um, I don't know. I don't know how they can fix it. I don't even know if they want to fix it. But I'm gonna say I think the way you fix it is you're not allowed to bet on players. But if you want to bet on the game or the team, that's different, right? So, Curry, from what I read, what's your thoughts on this? How do you think this thing's going to turn out? Do you think it gets deeper than this? Um, Again, my whole issue was they gave names of mafias, but they didn't give no faces. But again, everybody that they're bringing to the table is being charged. Just so happens to be Afro Americans that's being charged for this. So Curry, what's your thoughts?
Oh, I think it's just one of those situations where it's more that's going to be unfolded in this whole thing. I don't think these are the only players involved. I just think that these are the only ones that's being caught right now. I think there's a lot more, and I think you got some people that are really, really sweating it right now because they're not so sure if somebody's going to rat them out or what, or if they don't already know something on them. But will say this: um, uh, the way you fix. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. The way you fix this thing is you have to really bring the hammer down, and somebody got to do some serious jail time. And once you do that, you send a message to the rest of the group saying, "Hey, you already know what's going to happen." So you're not going to completely stop it, but you will slow that thing down to a snail's pace because if you know that you're a multi-million-dollar, human being, you got all the money that you need already. Why take that chance? And knowing that you can go to jail and not see your kids graduate or your grandkids, born or whatever, or not even see your kids get their first driver's license or anything. And I just think that once you sit that, put the hammer down and give somebody some serious jail time, they'll stop that. But now you're not going to be able to stop the in-game stuff that's going on because a lot of that's not really illegal, but it is, but it's not. Because if I say, hey, Kev, look, man, how's your boy playing over there? Is he okay? And you say, nah, I think he gonna be out. He hurt. His arm is hurt. Okay, I know this, and you just told me, but you didn't tell me anything illegal. So
Right.
all that's gonna continue to happen. That all it is insider trading, just like people that give you a big tip on a trade. It's the same thing in this inside, and you know what? It's going to happen. It's going to trickle down into the college ranks. Watch what I tell you. Again, it's going to be the same thing. These college players, they're getting millions of dollars too. And once they get the taste of $1 million, and then somebody come through and say, "Hey, you know what? Hey, try this. You try it. You get away with it." And they just baby feed you little stuff, and then when they give you that big chunk, you say, "Oh man, that's it. That's the big fish right there."
Yeah, that's gonna be that's to me that's the biggest issue that we're gonna see is that if you think about it though, like um you don't really like basketball, football, you more hear the sad stories about um when somebody get drafted, they talk about they remember when they didn't have the lights on, when they didn't live, they lived in a car, um, don't know who the father is, the mom abandoned them,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? So you have you so the wrong people will entice you to do some things that you ain't supposed to do. And if you like I'm gonna give you for example, um um Allen Iverson, good dude, right? Belonged to a gang, right? And if I'm not mistaken, if somebody's out there want to correct me on this, um John, John Thompson, if I'm not mistaken, he was John Thompson got him out of jail because they got into a fight and threw a chair and almost hurt somebody or something of that nature. But he had enough talent to
Yeah.
he had enough talent to go to the pros. But he was in a game and nobody messed with him because they saw the potential he had and they wanted him to give back. Okay. And if you ever been when Iverson was in his prime, if you ever went to a game and you see a black Escalade or a Yukon Denali, it pretty much belonged to him. I remember we went to the All-Star game in New Orleans, and the one hotel on New Orleans, they had 12 black Escalades. Guys, like he's like, yo, Allen Iverson's here and brought his entourage, right? So he brings all his friends that maybe looked out for him or maybe put money in his pocket to survive. Not saying that Allen Iverson blew games, not saying that Allen Iverson took games off because if you watch Allen Iverson, you know he gave you everything he had on that basketball court. But he just had those people in his life that let him live his to live his life the way he wanted to live it until he got his money. Another incident, if you think about the Ray Lewis situation where went to the Super Bowl the one year and somebody got killed. They might have
Oh, I
been
remember that. Yeah.
they might have been Ray Lewis's friends, but he didn't say nothing about it. He didn't tell them. I don't know who they were. You know, he pled the fifth until them guys probably got out of the country, right?
Mhm.
Did it hurt? Did it hurt his image? No, it didn't, right? Because he was a marketable guy. But these are guys they were around all their life that allowed them to be who they are now. You know, not saying that he rigged anything, not saying that he bet on anything, not saying he and if you know Ray Lewis, he put it out all out in the field. But you go back and you think about guys that and then and this is the weird part, guys. If you think about this, football players in their contracts, some of them can't even go back to their home states. They can't go back to home city. Like for example, most of the guys I was Mo was on the call right now. Most of the guys that play in Baltimore are not allowed to go into Baltimore City. They're not even allowed to go in there because they know how bad it is, right? And if they get caught in there, they get a
Ah,
fine. Simple as that. They're not allowed to go into the city. Now, can they donate? Yeah, they can donate to whoever they want to donate to, but they're not allowed in the city, right? And you'll be surprised at how many guys in professional sports that have contracts where they're not allowed to go to certain places or do certain things because of the background they came from.
right.
You know, but you look at the young guy, like I said, you look at the guy that can ball out, right? Needs a pair of sneakers. The dude walks up to me and say, "Here you go, pair of sneakers. Don't worry about it. You can catch me later." Gets an NIL deal. He like, "Yo, my man, I've been buying you sneakers. I've been buying you sneakers for the last 4 or 5 years. When you gonna break me off some bread?" Okay, well here you go. Here you go. Well, can you do me another favor? Can you do this? Can you do that? So they start them out young, right? But in the case of Billups and Jones and Terry Rozier, it don't sound like they was young. All them guys had money. You know what I'm saying? So my whole thing, if I were to sit down with either one of those individuals and I'll ask them why, I would just have to ask them why. You know, I don't know the background or where they came from or not, and maybe next week I may have some information on the background of where they came from, how they grew up. You know what I'm saying? What type of lifestyle I lived, and that may be able to answer my question on why they did what they did. Because when you have you have $4 or $5 million in the bank, you can't even spend it in one day. The interest alone carries over to wherever. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard. That's why I mean it's just difficult to me. It's difficult. It's really difficult for me to understand why these guys did what they did. Because what do they need in life? What did you get paid millions of dollars? You're taking care of your family. Your family's being taken care of. You know what I'm saying? Like Michael Parsons said, I want this. He said, I want another paycheck. I want another big paycheck because I want my mom to retire. Now, could she have retired off of his first contract? Probably could have. But now she really can retire off of this paycheck. You know what I'm saying? So now his mom don't have to do anything. But if you listen to his story, you know what I'm saying, about growing up in the city of Harrisburg and things of that nature. And you kind of saw the talent in him when he was playing midget football. And actually he left Harrisburg and went to a suburban school, and there was some issues that went on with him and some of the students there where the N word had been used, um, and things of that nature. And he left and came back to Harrisburg, right? And he loves the city. He always gives back to the city and stuff like that. So I really appreciate how he does our young people, our kids, because somebody else out there could be the next Michael Parsons. But again, you sit down and hear their struggle. Like he said, my mom had a job where she had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and deliver newspapers. You know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. So so there's always a motivation behind why you do what you do. But to me, what is the motivation of them guys doing what they're doing? I find it hard to believe, and I'm going to read more into this because it's very interesting to me to find out why they do what they do. You know what I'm saying? If you and there was something about Rozier owing like $8 million to federal taxes or whatever the case may be. But if you got an accountant, he should be taking care of it. He'd be like, "Yo, hey, my man, listen, you're gonna owe $8 million at the end of the year. Okay, well, put that $8 million aside and pay it when you pay it." Because what I think a lot of people don't realize, don't understand, the taxes in every city, in every state is different. Like if you play in Florida, you have no state tax. You play in Texas, you have no state tax, right? But then when you go play in California, Minnesota, they all have state taxes, so they gotta take the state taxes because you played there. So you earned a living there, so they gotta take their part. You gotta take their money out of it. So sometimes when you look at the contract and you say, "Wow, this is how much they're getting," and you go back and say, "Man, they're not really getting a lot." Now you have people that's in pro sports that had retired early, like Barry Sanders had retired early. He didn't want to play no more. Um, he just didn't. He Detroit wasn't getting it done, and he didn't feel like going nowhere else because he had opportunities to go places. But you don't hear him complaining about money. Kevin Garnett said he has never ever had to touch his paycheck since he retired, since he was in the first day he got to the NBA. He's been living off his endorsements.
Mhm.
Just think about that, his endorsements.
Well, didn't Kevin Garnett's name come up in that
It
poker
did
gambling
it it.
scandal too?
Yep, his name came up, but he was one of the ones that was there gambling. He wasn't one that was participating with Billups and them guys. He's one of the ones that, as they would say in the mafia. He was one of the suckers because he
Yeah.
offloaded some money on them. But he said, I've never had to touch my paycheck. Just think about that. Just think about him telling you
Yeah.
he's never had 20-year career in the NBA, and he lives off endorsements. He doesn't live outside his means. I bet he don't have 50 million cars. I think he might have had maybe three or four that he really liked, but his family's taken care of, which is more important. He has generational money that his next 4 or 5 generations, if they do it right, they won't have to work. They can go to college and become whatever they want to become, and let that money help them become whoever they want to become. You know what I'm saying? So I like Curry said that um this is going to be this is bigger than what we think it is. And it's not over yet. Um, it's going to be you're going to see it in college. You're going to see it in high school sports because high school sports guys can get NIL deals as well. So you're going to see that in high school sports, and you'll see it. It'll be more prevalent in high school because you have kids that actually don't live the best life, but are very athletic, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna take care of all your bills in your house. Don't worry about nothing.
Right.
But when you sign an NIL deal, I need to get 10% of whatever you get. And if you get to the pros, I need to get a percentage of that. Well, I want to get a percentage of that. And if you don't do it right and you don't save your money right now, you're in debt to them. So now you're going to try to figure out a way to get out of debt because you allowed them to manipulate you on the money part of what you've earned, you know, which is
Yeah,
which
one of the things though, I think that the high school level, I think is more safe as far as keeping the predators out of there because uh, that's not something that nationally, you can bet on. Say, I'm gonna take a school up here in my county, East Forsyth. Uh, they're one of the top schools in the state, really, when it comes to football. But it's gonna be hard for people to, bet on them, and because they're just not. It's just not many people gonna be betting on high school football. Like now, college. I mean, there's a spreadsheet out every day about what the point spread is, what the injury reports are. So, it's a lot more. It's more likely to happen in college, so than high school because I just don't know that. I just don't know that they can bet on high school like they can in college.
right. It's more high school sports are probably more underneath the table than it is anything else. You know what I'm saying? It's not. Oh, it's
But
not.
something else too. You mentioned you mentioned about we mentioned about uh, the punishments on these things, man. And once they start punishing people, think about steroids. That was big. You remember how big that was?
Yes.
And alcohol, man, that that was huge. Uh, what's that girl's name that served 6 months because she lied the to the feds about her use of steroids, the Olympic sprinter. I got a name on the tip of my tongue, but I can't call it. But she did 6 months. Man, Barry Bonds' trainer, that guy, he did jail time because he wouldn't testify against Barry Bonds and Balco. So, if you bring the hammer down on these people on this betting, like they've done with these steroids, Marion Jones, the lady I was trying to think of.
Yes.
Uh, but if you bring the hammer down on these guys for betting, like I say, it'll slow it down. You don't hear them about guys on steroids no more. You hear their guy get busted for performance enhancing drugs or whatever, but it's not as widespread as it once was. I don't think.
Exactly. It's not as bad as it was before. So I got another article here, and I don't know Rich. I don't know if Rich and Mo coming on today, but they said they was gonna come on. So if they don't come on, we're just gonna do an hour, and then we're gonna be done with it, and then we'll just figure out going forward how we're gonna do this. The second show. So it says right here, NBA gambling investigation: how players, coaches react to the news. So it says here, the opening week of the NBA season was rocked by Thursday news of two federal investigations related to illegal sports betting and rigged poker games. The rest, Portland Trailblazers, Chauncey Billups, coach Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups. That to me, that was the biggest one. That kind of hurt my soul right there because I Chauncey to me was a good dude. He never was in the news for nothing negative. Even though Boston drafted him and Rick Pitino didn't give him time to develop, I was really mad at Rick Pitino for that. But again, he was to me it seemed like a good dude. Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier and former player assistant coach Damian Jones has sent shockwaves through the basketball world. Many current players and coaches have chimed in, sharing their reaction to the news, how they're being impacted by the rise of sports betting and what will lie ahead for the league expanding their role in the spaces. Okay, it says um, this Eric Spoelstra, Miami Heat head coach. Terry is somebody who is very dear to all of us. He has had a real positive impact on our locker room, a staff and players alike. That includes last year when he wasn't in the rotation oftentimes. So we send our thoughts and prayers for him as he goes through this. Rick Carlisle, head coach and president of Basketball Association for the Indiana Pacers. It's a shocking day. I reached out today to Chauncey to see how he was doing. He didn't answer, but the coaches association, we support all our coaches. So reached out to him and his representative, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. But yeah, this was very serious situation. The irony, I guess, of it is, from my perspective, yesterday was a day when our general counsel came down and read all the regulations on gambling, warning our coaching staff and players and support staff about all the different things in terms of details of the allegations. I don't know anything of that, but it's a world that's a different world than if it was a few years ago with the advert legalized gambling. And I guess there's another aspect of this unrelated base basketball. So I will not comment on that. But shocking days, and I will see what happens after all the facts are collected. Bernie Bickerstaff, head coach of the Detroit Pistons. Billups is a friend of mine. I know him. I knew him since I was in the seventh grade. Wow. I know I care about him immensely, and I hate to see what he's going through right now. As a friend, as a human, I'm here to support him and be there for him in any way that he needs me to be. I know just how difficult this time is, and I think everyone needs to allow the due process to happen, and obviously judgment can be made, but you feel for anybody who you've known that long, have a relationship with. I know his family well, so I know he's going through it. I know how a difficult time for him, but all of us and friends and coaches are there for him. Draymond Green, Golden State Warriors forward. I was shocked. I woke up to the news and I had overslept for a shoot around. Overslept for a shoot around. Look, he telling you right now he ain't in it right now. He's not even in the mood to play basketball right now.
Not at all.
A shoot around. Come on, man. So when I woke up, I couldn't really check in on him. I got there and they were like, "Man, you see everything that's happening?" I'm like, "Oh no, quite no, not quite." I only know about Terry Rozier. I wish everybody well. It's a tough moment for the individuals involved. It's a tough moment for the league. JJ Redick, Los Angeles Lakers head coach. We had two meetings on this already. It's obviously on the front of everybody's awareness. Um, Jalen Brown, basketball forward, vice president of National Basketball Association, and he said some hard stuff. I don't know if it's in this right here because I'm just reading. I haven't read this before. The whole world was introduced a couple years ago, and I don't think they took players into consideration, especially with the energy, the behavior that goes around gambling, and how it directly correlates with players. We don't benefit from any other profits, but we've got but we've got to deal with a lot of extra negativity, scrutiny behind all the gambling stuff. On top of that, it creates more integrity issues. I'm not sure what the answer is, but definitely something that people have to spend more time having conversations about. There's been little to no conversation about protecting players. It's all about how can we increase the business and revenue. They ain't like that. They definitely didn't like that part of it. They definitely like that part. But he has a good point though. He has a really good point because you have to educate these guys and understand about the betting part of it. And like so with them talking, the league talking about it kind of dampened the NBA season, even though I didn't care too much for the two games that was on opening night. How you have so you telling me you have two teams, two games, both of them are out west, but there's no team on the East Coast that that's that's eligible or not eligible, but rewarding enough to come watch play on opening night. You couldn't have the Knicks and the Cavs play opening night. That
Yeah.
that really burnt my bridges right there when I saw that because I'm like, yo, really? So you gonna diss the East that bad? So the East, we know the East is wide open. Less as people would say, um, the New York Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers are the front runners for the NBA right now. Well, they were at the beginning of the season, right? And so I don't know what they are right now. Let me look at the standings as I look. Chicago Bulls, which is richest team, they're 3-0. Philadelphia's 3-0. Cleveland 3-1. Charlotte's 2-1. Miami's 2-1. New York's 2-1. Bucks 2-1. Pistons 2-2. Washington, Toronto, Hawks, Magic, Celtics, Pacers. No, I'm sorry. The Celtics, they all got one win. The Pacers and the Brooklyn Nets are 0-3 and 0-4. Out west, you got the Spurs, Thunder, and the Warriors. I mean, you got Spurs and Thunder, who's 4-0. You got the Warriors 3-1. You got the Jazz. From the Jazz, the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Trailblazers, the Lakers, the T-Wolves, the Grizzlies are all got 2 wins. You got Sacramento, Houston, Suns, and Maverick all got 1 win, and you got the Pelicans that have 0 wins. So it's not a good look for the NBA.
No.
And if you know anything about the NBA, the problem with the NBA was it was drug infested from the very beginning. When they got up in like in the early 70s, there was a lot of drugs being done in the NBA. And they had the ABA, so they brought the ABA into the NBA, right? So the Spurs, the Brooklyn Nets, Utah Jazz, I can't think of nobody. The I can't think of who else was
Indiana Pacers.
the Pacers. The Pacers was another team that came in from the ABA, right? So they felt like it was a come up, right? So if you think Curry, you can probably get relate if you wasn't into basketball back then, but the early 70s, it really wasn't that good of basketball. It was
No.
Curry, it was so bad that they would pre-record the game. You would listen to the news, you knew who won the game, and then they would show the game on TV. That's how bad the NBA was. But then you
Yeah,
had
I
Bird
remember.
and Magic come along, and
Oh my.
they rejuvenated the NBA, right? So the NBA that we see it now, we want to give Bill Russell them guys their credit, but we want to give Larry Bird and Magic Johnson the credit from 1980 to now to make it mobilized, to make it worldwide basketball. Because without them, I don't know if the NBA would have been saved. You know what I'm saying? It's been lucky enough to have somebody come through
Oh yeah.
and be the savior of the NBA to keep the NBA relevant. So right now we're looking for that next guy because LeBron's stepping down, and we got to find somebody else to take his place. Um, a lot of people in the United States don't want a European player to be the face of the league, but man, you if you look at the league itself and you look at you look at all NBA first all NBA team, if I'm not mistaken, the only American on that team was Jason Tatum. Everybody else was foreigners from a
Yeah.
different country, right? So again, I know Dana don't like to hear this, but they're taking over the NBA. They're really taking over the NBA. So again, the NBA needs to bounce back from this. Um, I think they were talking about expanding. I think they need to stop with expanding and focus on getting these guys the help they need or the understanding they need about betting. Why they shouldn't? I mean, they can't bet anyway. They shouldn't be betting anyway, but they do. But again, I think when it comes to you betting on certain players, there's a window of saying he's playing or not playing, which I'll say if you put it at 30 minutes before the game, now you know how to bet. Don't wait till the last
But don't
second.
you think the NBA and the NFL really opening up that can of worms themselves and should feel part responsible for these guys betting as much as because I don't remember hearing much about guys betting until the NFL and the NBA decided to partnership with these betting groups like FanDuel and the
Hmm.
rest of them. Now you go into these stadiums and there's big signs in there say FanDuel.
Yep.
You can bet in game right there from your seat.
Exactly.
So, so the NFL I know of because I go to more NFL games than I do NBA, and they embrace that.
Hmm.
And so how can you tell your employees that we're sponsored by Michelin tires, but we don't want you to run Michelin's on your car. We want you to run something else on your car. No, they want some of the best stuff too. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I just think that the NBA and the NFL sort of opened up that can of
I
worms
totally agree.
themselves.
I totally agree, and that's why that's why I was never for it from the very beginning, because this conversation I knew we was gonna have this conversation sooner or later. Somebody's gonna rock the boat. Um, and three people that rocked the boat,
Yeah.
I never thought it was them. Like even with Damian Jones when he's playing with LeBron, he would call up his friends like, "Yo, don't hey bet because LeBron ain't playing tonight. They might lose by whatever, whatever, whatever." You know, and if they won, he got a piece of the chain. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is that you can you can go back and check people's phones now, and you can find out who they called, who they talked to, how many times they talked to him, and that's what they said. Rozier. That's how Rozier got caught up. Was they went through his phone records, and just think about this. Think about how many phone records they had to go through to get the information they need to get through for Rozier, and this has been going on for almost a year and a
Mhm.
half for him. You know what I'm saying? We knew last year what was going on with him. We knew last year about the other guy that played with Detroit, I think it was, but he got cleared, right? So he's in the clear. But again, and if you think about it, Rozier never got really slapped really hard. You know what I'm saying? They didn't kick him out the league, but now he's done because of what he's doing. And it's sad, but it's true. But like they say, root of all evil is money. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know how to control your money, it's not gonna. If you don't know how to control your money's gonna control you. And we have a lot of that going on in this world right now. Um, and it's sad.
What's the big man name from Philly? Philly, the
Joe
Sixers.
Joe Embiid.
Uh, MB, yeah. I worked with this lady, man, and she got two sons, two small boys, and they from Philly, and they like MB. So she took them to a game,
Mm,
and she bought the ticket because she knew that Philly was coming to Charlotte. So she bought it, and she was so worried that MB might not
okay.
play, she don't spend her money. And because the whole thing for her going to the game was so her boys could see MB
Embiid.
play,
Hmm.
play live. And but sure enough, he did play. So, but it's a shame that you have to run that risk of buying a ticket and you don't know if the guy's going to play or not because of load management
Exactly.
or whatever. But now, if a guy's hurt, you can understand that. Oh man, I'm just a little low on fuel this week, so I'm only gonna play like 3 games instead of
But
4 games or
so let me ask
whatever.
let
But
me ask
yeah,
you let
yeah.
me let
But I
me
remember her saying that she was so happy that the boys did get to see him play.
so let me ask you a question. I'm gonna tell you a story with me also. So I, my suggestion is when if you want to put a guy on load management, he has to be on load management for at least 5 days. Okay. Well, no, I'm
Right.
sorry, for at least a week because you could play anywhere from 3 to 4 games in a week. Okay. So you don't want to play against this team or this team or this team because you felt like he's wasting his time. He could get hurt, but we want him on the back end of the road. I want him on the back end of the uh back end of um home game, I mean away games back to back. So that's where you want him at. So again, if you go to the low management part of it and say, okay, well, the NBA come out and say, okay, well, check this out. If he's hurt, he can't play for at least a week. Okay. Now I guarantee you they're gonna say, oh no, he's good. He's good. He tweaked something, he can come back and play. He'll be able to play now because now you're saying the 4 or 5 games you're gonna play, there's 2 games in that that there are must wins for you, right? So now he gonna have an opportunity to play. I think if the NBA come up with something like that, then we're fine. Like you look at baseball, they're on the DL for what 14 days, right? And it may be for something minor, but they got them on for 14 days. That means they can't do nothing. They cannot play for 14 days. I don't understand why the NBA don't implement something like that. That way
Yeah.
you're gonna get the best quality basketball you're gonna definitely get because you're not gonna sit guys. You look at the San Antonio Spurs, Pac would sit guys all the time. And I remember them going to, now my one friend that was on the show yesterday, Kenny, is a big Spurs fan, right? And he was gonna go to Philly to see him play. So he found out that Tim Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker didn't even take the flight up to Philadelphia because they don't want to do load management. That's not fair to a fan that comes to see a person play.
Right.
Now I can see if it's a home game, right? Because you play at home all the time. I can see it's a home game and you can't play, that's fine. But on the road, where you're only gonna be there one time a year, unless you get to NBA finals, then you could be at that same place for 7 games. I mean, for four out of 7 or 3 out of 7, that's a different story, right? Like, so the story I have is when me, my brother, and my son, when he got his grades from high school or whatever, and got accepted college. I said to him, I'm gonna take you up. I'm gonna take you to Boston to a basketball game. So we go to the basketball game. They're playing the Washington Wizards, I think, because Porzingis was on the team at the time. He wakes up in the morning. He's upset. He's like, Dad. He said, Tatum may not play. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, they saying that he's hurt. I said, Tatum just played the night before last. Tatum's fine. He's like, Uncle Kevin. He said he might not play. So now the expression on his face changed from happy to sad because he wasn't gonna get a chance to see Jason Tatum play. But just so happens that he ended up playing and he was happy. I think I got him a shirt with Jason Tatum or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. But when it comes to that, and there's kids that love you, that want to see you play, you know, you owe it to them. You really do owe it to. Like last night watching the Pelicans play. Why is what's the kid that plays for the Pelicans? I can't think of his name right now. The heavyset kid. I can't think of his name right now. But it's the beginning of the season. Why is he not playing? You telling me you out of shape before this? That's why they should have never Zion.
You're talking the guy they got from Duke.
Zion Williams. He's in street clothes.
Yeah.
Third game in the season, he's in street clothes. Somebody tell me why. Somebody tell me why. Even though that was a home game, but somebody tell me why. You know,
He hasn't played a lot in his whole career.
no, he hasn't. But see the Pelicans got over on the Pelicans because for the simple fact that he wanted to go to New York, right? And this is the draft where the Lakers had Anthony, and they needed a high draft pick to give to the Pelicans in order for them to get Anthony. And so they had to pick where the pick that the Lakers got should have been the New York Knicks pick, right? So Zion would have went to Baltimore. I mean, he went to New York, and Lakers would have drafted where they drafted, but they drafted in the top 5, right? They messed the whole draft up. So Zion goes to the Pelicans because they're trading. They're trading Davis to the Lakers, and I don't even know if one player they traded for, if he's still on the Lakers. I mean, if he's still on the Pelicans right now, that they traded for Davis for. I don't even know. Davis left the Lakers, went to Dallas, and I don't know. I have to look and see how many people on that roster that's still on that roster that he got traded for, right? So again, here we go with the integrity of the game. It's man. I love sports, man. I live to sit here and talk about sports. There's nothing else I would rather do than talk about sports. But man, it would break my heart if they would come out and somebody would come out and say, "Yo, everything's rigged." I would be so hurt. I would be so hurt. Do I think there is some?
No.
Do I think there's some
You and a
shaky?
bunch of us.
Do I think there's some shaky in sports? I definitely believe it is. Like Kansas City Chiefs played the other night and don't have not one penalty called on them. How does that happen? They played a perfect game. Come on, stop it. Stop it. They know that Kansas City makes that the AFC relevant. Right now, they got Kansas City favored to go Super Bowl. They don't have the best record.
Well, but they got healthy at the right time. They got They got two wide receivers back that they didn't have during that losing streak.
Let me ask you a
So
question, Curry.
they,
Do you think they could beat? Do you think they it, AFC Championship game between them and the Colts? Who goes?
I no doubt, man, hands down. I think the Chiefs will win. I just think that their offense is so potent right now with those two wide receivers, and then they also have Juju Smith-Schuster, and they got a tight end Kelsey. So, and the running back's not bad. So yeah, they Mahomes got weapons this time around.
Yeah, he definitely does have weapons. Definitely does have weapons. But again, I think
I
sometimes
don't think I don't think anybody beat them.
I just think that sometimes you sit there and watch the game. You're like, yo, why did he make that call? Why did he pull that flag? Why did he do this? Why did he do that? You know what I'm saying? And then you come to think of it like, yo, are they really cheating for this team? Or are they cheating for that team? You don't want to believe it. I don't. I definitely don't want to believe it. I really don't want to believe it.
Well, Troy Aikman said something the other night. I don't know if you guys watched the game or not, but if you did watch it, I don't know if you caught it. He said, this was his words verbatim. He said, well, the defensive guy hit Mahomes and kind of threw him down, and it should have been a penalty. It should have been a penalty, no doubt about it. But Troy Aikman said the way they're going to protect these quarterbacks, especially this quarterback. I don't know if that slipped or what, but he made it sound like he made it that Mahomes getting special treatment. And I don't think anyone else should be saying things like that.
And if you think about it, look at the tuck rule for the New England Patriots. When that definitely was a fumble. The Raiders should have been playing the Rams in the Super Bowl that year. They should have been playing the Rams. As simple as that. But they put the tuck rule in because of Tom Brady. Can't hit below the knee because Tom Brady gets hurt. You know what I'm saying? They changed all the rules around for the quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? But they don't change anything for the defense. Like I truly believe a pass interference should be no more than 15 yards. You look at the one pass interference that the play last night were or was it Sunday night with the Steelers playing Houston, I think it was. Or no, Green Bay. And
No, yeah.
he gets the ball and throws it up, right? And the guy gets pass interference for it. I think it should be 15 yards. It shouldn't be the spot of foul because what advantages are you giving it that what advantages are you giving the defense, you know what I'm saying, that they don't have where you giving everything to the offense. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind seeing a 37-35 score game. You know what I'm saying? If it warrants that, that's fine. But I'm okay with 7-0 because I know there was a battle there. There was a battle between the two defenses, and somebody messed up, and that's how the other defense couldn't come through and make the play they needed to make in order for to tie the game or lose the game or win the game, however it may be. Um, that's just my take. So
Well, you can't chuck the receiver past 5 yards, but it used to be a time when you could chuck him all the way down the field.
exactly. And I kind of agree with not putting your hands on it. You can put your hands on the first 5 yards. After that, you gotta let them go. But um, that's that's a play they put in to help the offense because the defense was running they was running amok out there. They was doing what they got to do, and now they changed some things around and look for the offense to look really good, man. So
Yeah, because they won't. It's more sexy scoring a bunch of points than it is a 10-7 game or 6-3 game. A 21-24 game at halftime
right,
looks a lot better than a 10-6 game at halftime.
exactly. All right, Kerr, we at an
But
hour.
yeah,
We at an hour, man. I'm gonna let you go.
okay.
I'm not gonna keep you long, but hopefully we can figure this thing out next time around. That we do the show. But again, anybody that's watching from the live feed, um, Thank you for watching for live feed. You always can call in to our numbers 512-543-4662. We'll be doing this next Tuesday as well. Show Without a Name, season 2. That might be Curry. That could be the name of the show. Show Without a Name. All right, man. You have a good night, man, and I'm going to lay down and get some rest because I was up late last night watching that baseball game at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm so pooped to pop.
Did you stay to the end?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. It was a rough day today for me, man. I tell you, I felt good.
Yeah.
I felt good when I woke up this morning, but when I started walking around, they was like,
I bet you did because they won.
They was like, yo, what's wrong with you? I said, man, I watched that game last night. Oh my, I said, yo. And I said, did I say I don't want to? Did I say I didn't want to watch a game like that? I ain't want to watch no more games like that because the stress is this over the top. It's stress over the top. And I still have a little bit of fingernails left over. So, hopefully we won't.
Yeah, but
hopefully
it makes it a whole lot better when they win.
Exactly.
If they'd have lost that game the same way, oh, that'd have been a long day for you right there.
Yeah, it definitely would have been, man. All right, Curry, man. You have a good night, man, and I will talk to you next week.
All right.
All right.
All right. We out.
All right.